before you touch that hairdryer this morning, stop. Because if you're over 60 and you've watched your fine hair get flatter year after year, I'm about to tell you something that nobody, not your stylist, not the shampoo aisle, not even your own mirror has ever said out loud. Your hair is not disappearing. It is obeying 40 years of a routine that points every single strand straight down at the floor and then wondering why nothing stands up. Today, I'm giving you the Korean secret for instantly fuller volume. The 5 styling rules that Seoul stylists use on the finest, flattest hair in the world. And I mean rules you can use tomorrow morning with the dryer and the comb you already own. Nothing to buy, nothing to book. We're going to build this from Rule 1 to Rule 5. In order, because each rule prepares your hair for the next one, and Rule 5, the last one, is the crown jewel, the 2-minute move that Korean salons turned into an entire industry. But I'll be honest with you, it's rule number 3, sitting quietly in the middle of this list, that almost nobody in this country talks about, and it's the one silently costing you hair every single week. Stay for that one. Before rule number 1, 2 quick things. If this is your first time here, this channel is where women over 60 learn to look sharper using what they already own. So press subscribe now because this video is the first in a Korean beauty series I've been preparing for months. And leave me a comment with 2 things: your age and how many years you've styled your hair the exact same way. I read every single comment, and those answers decide what I film next. Now, let me introduce you to the real enemy, because it has never been your age, and it has never been your hair. I call it the waterfall routine. Think about everything you were taught to do to your hair since you were a girl. You brush it downward. You rinse it with the water, pressing it downward. You towel it flat. You dry it, aiming the nozzle down the length. You smooth product from the top down, and you finish by patting it all neatly down against your head. Every gesture downward. Like water over a cliff, your hair has spent decades being told there is only one direction in the world. And hair listens. Each strand leaves your scalp at an angle, and that angle can be trained the way a door hinge that only ever swings one way starts to resist swinging the other. 40 years of the waterfall routine, and your roots don't lie flat because they must. They lie flat because they've memorized it. Now here's what I learned standing in salons in Seoul, watching master stylists work on hair even finer and straighter than yours. They understand something about volume that we were never taught, and it changed how I've styled every client since. Fullness is not hair. Fullness is shadow. When a root stands even half an inch off the scalp, it casts a soft shadow beneath itself, and your eye reads that darkness as depth, as thickness as more. I call it shadow volume. Picture a wheat field after a storm. Every stalk pressed flat, and you can see the soil between the rows. Now, picture the same field standing. Same number of stalks, but standing, they hide the ground completely, and the field looks twice as dense. Your scalp is that soil. The women you envy with the full-looking fine hair are not growing more wheat. They are keeping it standing. And that is exactly what Korean styling does. One rule at a time, starting at the part line. Rule number 1. Move your part off center and learn the ratio Koreans live by. In Korea, the part is such serious business it has its own name, the garma, and stylists discuss it in numbers. 5 to 5 means split straight down the middle. 7 to 3 means 70% of your hair sweeps to one side, 30 to the other. And on fine, mature hair, Seoul stylists treat the 5 to 5 center part almost like a wardrobe malfunction, because a center part does 2 cruel things at once. It opens the widest possible window of scalp exactly at your crown, where every person you speak to is looking. And it drops your hair in 2 thin, flat panels straight down beside your face, like curtains with nothing behind them. The 7 to 3 fixes both in 10 seconds. The heavy side has to climb up and over the curve of your head before it can fall, and that climb forces the roots to stand. It is volume created by geography alone. So tonight, take your comb, find a line about an inch off center, and sweep the heavy side across your crown. Then do the part Americans always skip. Every 3 or 4 days, shift the line half an inch, one way or the other. A part worn in the same groove for decades presses itself wider and wider until it becomes a channel of bare scalp no spray can hide. Keep the line traveling and the roots on both sides stay awake. 10 seconds, $0, and rule 1 is done. But a beautiful part means nothing if the roots underneath it are being smothered, and that is precisely what rule number 2 is about to stop. Rule number 2, take everything off your roots. Everything. Korean beauty culture has a word that reframes this entire subject. The scalp is called dupi, and the word treats it as skin. Not carpet, not soil. Skin in the same category as your face, and cared for with the same respect. And ask yourself, would you rub conditioner, smoothing serum, and leave-in cream into your forehead and expect it to look fresh at lunchtime? Of course not. Yet that is what most American women do to the only part of their hair capable of standing up. Here is the physics, plain and simple. Fine hair after 60 produces less natural lift than it ever has. Every drop of product resting on that first half inch is weight, a wet coat draped over a stalk that was already struggling to stand. Conditioner run from the scalp down, that swipe of serum starting too high, the leave-in you missed everywhere. Each one flattens the wheat before the day has even begun. The Korean rule is beautifully strict. Products live from the ears down. Conditioner begins at ear level. Oils and serums stay in the bottom third, where your oldest, driest hair actually needs them. The roots stay bare, clean, and light. The single exception is a true root-lifting spray or volumizing powder, products engineered to hold a root upright rather than coat it, and even those are used like seasoning, not sauce. Give me 7 days of naked roots, changing nothing else, and check your crown in the mirror on day 4. Most women tell me it's the first visible difference they've had in years, and it came from doing less. Which brings us to the rule I flagged at the start. The one sitting quietly in the middle of this list, the one almost nobody in this country talks about, and the one that decides how much hair you still have 5 years from now. Rule number 3, treat wet hair like wet silk. When your hair is soaked, it is at the weakest moment it will ever be. A wet strand stretches dramatically before it breaks, and every stretch past its limit is damage banked, whether you hear a snap or not. Fine hair over 60 has the narrowest strands of your life, so it has the least margin of anyone's. And what does the waterfall routine do the second you leave the shower? A rough towel, scrubbed in circles. Then a paddle brush, planted at the scalp, and dragged through every tangle to the ends. That's not brushing, that's threshing. Watch the same moment in a Seoul salon and it looks almost ceremonial. The water is pressed out, never rubbed, the towel squeezing down the length like you'd blot a silk blouse you loved. Detangling starts at the very ends, the last 2 inches, with a wide-tooth comb or bare fingers, and works upward 1 section at a time, so no knot is ever dragged through the hair below it. And an actual bristle brush doesn't touch the head until the hair is nearly dry. 2 things happen when you adopt this. This week, the wads of hair on the bathroom floor shrink. And across the next 6 months, your ends stop dissolving into that wispy, see-through fringe that makes an entire head read thin. Because part of fuller hair is hair you grow, and the other part is simply hair you stop losing. And one small upgrade Seoul stylists swear by, if you want to go further, retire the rough terry towel altogether and blot with an old cotton t-shirt instead, and swap your cotton pillowcase for silk or satin. Terry loops and cotton weave grab at the raised cuticle of fine hair like Velcro all night long. Smooth fabric lets the strand glide, and gliding hair is hair that stays on your head. Neither swap costs more than a few dollars, and both work while you do absolutely nothing. 3 rules down, 2 to go, and the 2 that are left are the ones people will actually see from across a room. If a light bulb has gone off even once so far, tap the like button so I know these translations from Seoul are landing, and subscribe if you haven't yet, because Rule 5 leads directly into next week's video. Rule number 4, curve your ends because straight ends are starving your volume. This is the rule that surprises American women the most, and it's one Korean stylists teach apprentices in their first week. It's called the C-curl. Look closely at Korean hairstyling on any woman, any age, and you'll notice the ends almost never hang dead straight like dry spaghetti. The last 2 inches bend gently inward, toward the jawline or the collarbone, tracing a soft letter C. That curve is not a decoration. It is load-bearing. A straight end is an exit. The eye slides down it and falls off, and light passes clean through the sparsest part of your hair, which on fine, mature hair is always the ends. A curved end does 3 jobs at once. It folds the hair back over itself so the bottom of your style doubles in visual density. It catches light along the outside of the bend, the way Venetian blinds tilted just so suddenly glow while a flat pane of glass stays invisible. And it moves when you move, and moving hair always reads as more hair. You do not need a curling iron. When your hair is about 90% dry, wrap the last 2 inches around your fingers or a round brush. Roll them under, give the curve 5 seconds of warm air, and then, this is the part that matters, hold it still while it cools in your hand. Heat bends the strand. Cooling is what locks the bend. 10 seconds aside, and your hair suddenly has a shape, an inside and an outside, instead of hanging like a closed curtain. And now your hair is prepared, the part is climbing, the roots are bare, the strands are intact, the ends are curved for the crown jewel, the rule the entire Korean salon industry is built on. Rule number 5, reset your roots against the fall. This is the heart of the Korean secret, and I've given it a name so you never forget it. The root reset. In Seoul, root volume is such an institution it has its own name, a puri volume, and women book standing salon appointments just to have that first half-inch trained upward. But here is what those same stylists do to their own hair every morning, for free in 2 minutes, and what you will do starting tomorrow. Begin with damp roots, not dripping. Dry the roots first before you even think about the lengths, and dry them in the wrong direction. If your hair falls to the right of your part, push the roots toward the left while the warm air hits them. Better still, tip your head forward, let everything hang upside down, and dry the crown from underneath, your fingertips lifting at the scalp, the nozzle aimed up into the roots, never down onto them. What you are doing is erasing the waterfall. Warm air softens each strand, and a strand resets in whatever position it cools in. So here is the lock. When the roots are dry, still lifted, still pointing the wrong way, switch your dryer to cool and hold it on them for 10 full seconds. Cold is the setting spray nature gave you. Then stand up, flip your hair back, shake it into its 7-3, and watch what happens. The roots settle last, hovering off the scalp, holding a lift you did not tease, did not spray, and did not pay a salon for. The shadow appears beneath them, and the shadow is the volume. 2 minutes with a dryer you already own, pointed the one direction you've never pointed it. And let me answer the question I know is coming, because I hear it from every woman I teach this to. What if it collapses by noon? 3 checks. First, were your roots truly bone dry before the cool set? Damp roots keep resetting flat all morning, undoing your work by lunch. Second, did anything touch those roots afterward? A serum, a smoothing cream, even heavy hands? Bare means bare. And third, give the retraining time. Roots that spent 40 years learning to lie down do not stand at attention on day 1. By the end of week 2, most women find the lift holding hours longer than it did on day 1, because the memory is finally being rewritten in your favor. And notice how the whole system snaps together. The 7-3 Garma gives the hair a hill to climb. Bare roots are light enough to make the climb. Intact, uncooked strands have the strength for it. The C-curl gives the eye a full finish at the bottom, and the root reset raises the flag at the top. 5 rules, 1 result. Shadow volume, everywhere it counts. Now, I promise to tell you why Korea, of all places, is where this science comes from, because knowing the why is what will make you trust it on a rush Tuesday morning. Korean hair broadly runs straight, fine in texture, and heavy in the strand, the exact combination that collapses flattest against the skull and shows scalp soonest. For generations, that was simply accepted. Then Seoul's salon industry decided flat was an engineering problem, not a fate. They could not change the hair, so they changed the root. Part ratios, directional drying, cool locking, entire menus of puri volume services. The rules you just learned were not invented for thick, lucky hair and watered down for yours. They were invented for hair with exactly your struggle. That is why they translate so beautifully. And there's one more reason to trust them. In Seoul, these techniques survive the harshest possible test: humidity. Summers there are heavy and damp, the sworn enemy of root lift everywhere on Earth, and the methods that endure those months are the ones that hold anywhere. If a root reset can keep a crown standing through a wet August in Seoul, it can absolutely survive your Tuesday. One more gift before we close, because it deserves 30 seconds: color. If you color your hair, ask for depth to stay near the root, 1 shade deeper at the scalp, melting lighter through the mid-lengths and ends. That darker base deepens the shadow under every lifted root, so your shadow volume doubles, and it's why a single flat, all-over color, especially a pale one, can quietly erase half the fullness these 5 rules just built. Root deep, ends light. Tell your colorist exactly that. I won't pretend you're the first to test this. My comments section has turned into a gallery of before and afters, women in their 60s and 70s who moved apart, stripped their roots bare, and flipped a dryer upside down. then came back 2 weeks later typing the same sentence in different words. Where has this been all my life? Nothing grew in those 2 weeks. Nothing needed to. The hair was always there, lying down, waiting for permission to stand. So here's what I want you to carry out of this video. You have spent decades being told that flat is simply what fine hair becomes at your age, and that the fixes all live in a bottle or a booking. But the truth was half an inch from your scalp the whole time. You do not need more hair. You need your hair pointed somewhere other than the floor. Tomorrow morning, before the brush, before anything, tip your head forward and give me 2 minutes. Then look up at the mirror and ask the only question that matters. How long has this been possible? Your turn now. Tell me in the comments which rule starts tomorrow for you, the 7 to 3, the naked roots, or the root reset itself. And if you try the upside down dry, come back and report what you saw, because your results teach the next woman scrolling more than I ever could. Share this with a friend who swears she's losing her hair because she may only be losing the angle. And subscribe right now, because next week I'm revealing the Korean color rule that makes gray and silver hair look expensive instead of tired. And I promise, it is not what your colorist has been telling you. Your hair has been waiting 40 years for a new set of instructions. Tomorrow morning, you give them. I'll see you next week.